September 12, 2003, 7:42 a.m., Nashville, Tennessee. The phone call came just after sunrise. Rosanne Cash was drinking coffee in her kitchen when her cell phone rang. She already knew what the call would say. She'd been waiting for it for 4 months, ever since her stepmother, June, had died. Rosanne, it was her brother, John Carter Cash. His voice was hollow. "Dad's gone. He passed about an hour ago." Rosanne set down her coffee cup very carefully. Her hands were shaking. Was he in pain? No, he went peaceful. In his sleep, he was holding a picture of June. They talked for a few more minutes. Funeral arrangements, family notifications, all the terrible logistics of death. But when Rosanne hung up, she didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, she walked to her home office, opened the bottom drawer of her desk, and pulled out a sealed envelope, yellowed with age, her father's handwriting on the front, bold and unmistakable. "Rosanne, do not open until I'm gone, and maybe not even then. Love, Dad." She'd been carrying this envelope for 23 years, since 1980, since the night her father had pressed it into her hands with tears in his eyes and made her promise something impossible. Now he was gone, and the letter was still sealed, but Rosanne Cash didn't open it that morning, or that week, or that year. She waited another 20 years. If you want to discover the untold stories behind music's most painful and beautiful moments, subscribe now. Hit that notification bell, because what you're about to hear is the story of a letter, a daughter, a father's deepest regrets, and the words that took 43 years to finally be heard. The Father Who Wasn't There. 1960, Memphis, Tennessee. Rosanne Cash was 5 years old when she realized her father was famous. Not just "my daddy plays music" famous, but strangers cry when they see him famous. She was at a grocery store with her mother, Vivian, when a woman recognized them. "Oh my God, you're Johnny Cash's wife, and this must be little Rosanne." The woman started crying right there in the cereal aisle, crying because she'd seen Johnny perform, crying because his music meant everything to her. Rosanne remembers thinking, "Why is she crying? He's just my daddy." But the truth was, Johnny Cash wasn't just her daddy. He barely was her daddy at all. Johnny was on the road 300 days a year, touring, recording, performing, drinking, taking pills, collapsing, recovering, and doing it all over again. His first marriage to Vivian was disintegrating under the weight of his addiction and absence. Rosanne and her 3 sisters grew up in a house where their father was more myth than man, a voice on the radio, a face in magazines, a ghost who sometimes appeared in their doorway at 3 a.m., high and incoherent, trying to hug them before passing out on the couch. "Is Daddy okay?" Rosanne would ask her mother. Vivian's answer was always the same. "Daddy's working, honey. He's working very hard." But even at 5 years old, Rosanne knew that wasn't the whole truth. Daddy was disappearing. Daddy was choosing something: pills, music, fame, anything over them. In 1966, Johnny and Vivian divorced. Rosanne was 11 years old. The custody arrangement was typical. The girls lived with their mother in California. Johnny got them for summers and occasional weekends when he wasn't on tour, which meant Rosanne saw her father maybe 30 days a year. And on those rare days when Johnny was present, he wasn't really present. He was high, or coming down, or preparing to get high again. Rosanne remembers one summer when she was 13. She'd flown to Tennessee to spend 2 weeks with Johnny and his new wife, June Carter. Rosanne was so excited, 2 whole weeks with her father. But Johnny was in the middle of a particularly bad pill binge. Most days he didn't wake up until 4 p.m. When he did emerge from his bedroom, he was foggy, distant, irritable. One afternoon, Rosanne gathered her courage and knocked on his bedroom door. "Dad, can we talk?" Johnny opened the door, squinting at the light. "What is it, honey?" I wanted to spend time with you. Maybe we could go for a walk, or you could teach me a song on guitar." Johnny looked at her like he was trying to remember who she was. Yeah, we'll do that. Tomorrow, I promise." Tomorrow never came. Johnny slept through the next 2 days, and when Rosanne's visit ended, when June drove her to the airport, Johnny was passed out in his bedroom. Rosanne didn't cry on the plane ride home. She was 13. She was learning how to protect herself, learning how to expect nothing, learning how to stop hoping her father would show up. But late at night, alone in her bedroom, she wrote in her journal, "I don't think my dad knows who I am. I'm just another person who wants something from him." The Lost Years, 1967 to 1971. Johnny Cash's darkest period. While Johnny was becoming a superstar, performing at Folsom Prison, hosting a TV show, recording hit after hit, he was also actively dying. The pills were destroying him. Amphetamines, barbiturates, morphine, handfuls at a time. Rosanne watched this destruction from California, through occasional phone calls that never came, through birthday cards that arrived 3 months late, through promises that were never kept. "Your father loves you," her mother Vivian would say. "He's just sick right now." But Rosanne was getting older, getting smarter, getting angrier. By the time she was 16, she'd stopped expecting anything from Johnny Cash. She stopped waiting for phone calls, stopped hoping he'd show up for her high school graduation. He didn't. Stopped pretending that having a famous father meant having a father at all. But in 1973, something changed. Johnny got clean, really clean. June had staged an intervention, threatened to leave him, forced him to treatment, and somehow, miraculously, it worked. By late 1973, Johnny Cash was sober for the first time in 15 years. And one of the first things he did was call Rosanne. "Baby girl," he said when she answered. His voice was different, clearer, present. "I need to see you. I need to talk to you. Can you come to Tennessee?" Rosanne was 18 years old. She'd spent the last decade building walls around her heart to protect herself from her father's absence. But something in his voice made those walls crack. "Okay," she said, "I'll come." The conversation they should have had. October 1973, Hendersonville, Tennessee, Johnny and June's house. Rosanne sat across from her father in his living room. He'd picked her up from the airport himself, a small miracle. He looked different, older, tired, but his eyes were clear. June had made coffee and then tactfully disappeared, giving them privacy. "I need to tell you something," Johnny began. His hands were shaking slightly. "And I need you to just listen. Can you do that?" Rosanne nodded. "I was a terrible father to you, not just absent, terrible. I chose drugs over you. I chose my career over you. I chose my own pain over your childhood. And I can't," his voice broke, "I can't get those years back. I can't undo the birthdays I missed, or the times you needed me and I wasn't there. I can't fix that." Rosanne stared at her coffee. She didn't know what to say. "I'm sober now," Johnny continued, "and I want to try. I want to be your father, not the ghost you remember, not the man on the TV screen, your actual father. But I don't know if you can forgive me. I don't know if you should forgive me." Rosanne looked up at him, and for the first time in years, she let herself feel the anger she'd been suppressing. "You want to know what the worst part was?" she said quietly. "It wasn't that you were gone. It was that when you were there, those rare times when you actually showed up, you still weren't there. You'd look at me like a stranger, like you couldn't remember my name, like I was just another person wanting something from you." Johnny's face crumpled. "I know." "I needed you," Rosanne continued, her voice getting stronger. "I was a little girl, and I needed my father. And you chose pills instead. You chose being Johnny Cash instead of being my dad." "I know," Johnny said again. Tears were streaming down his face. "I'm sorry. I'm so goddamn sorry, Rosanne. I can say it 1,000,000 times and it won't be enough, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm sorry." They sat in silence for a long moment. "What do we do now?" Rosanne finally asked. "I don't know," Johnny admitted. "Maybe we start over. Maybe I can show you, not just tell you, that I'm different now." Rosanne wanted to believe him, but 18 years of disappointment had taught her to be careful. "Okay," she said cautiously, "we can try." Building something new. 1973 to 1979, a new chapter. Johnny kept his promise. He showed up. He called Rosanne every Sunday. He flew to California to watch her perform at small clubs when she started pursuing music. He wrote her letters, real letters, not birthday cards 3 months late. Letters about music, about life, about his own struggles with staying sober. When Rosanne decided to become a singer-songwriter, Johnny didn't pressure her to trade on his name. Instead, he taught her about the craft, about writing honestly, about the difference between performing and connecting. "Don't sing to people," he told her during a rehearsal. "Sing for them. Sing like you're telling them a secret only they can hear." Their relationship wasn't perfect. They argued. They had setbacks. Johnny relapsed briefly in 1977, and Rosanne was furious, felt betrayed all over again. But Johnny got back into recovery, and this time he called Rosanne immediately. "I slipped," he told her. "I'm not going to lie to you. I took pills for 3 days, but I stopped. And I'm telling you because I don't want to hide from you anymore." That honesty, that willingness to be vulnerable instead of absent, meant everything to Rosanne. By 1979, Rosanne had released her first album. Johnny came to her album release party sober, proud, present. He hugged her and whispered, "You're better than I ever was." Rosanne cried, not from sadness, from relief, from the feeling of finally having a father. But in 1980, something happened that would change everything. The night of the letter. June 14th, 1980, 11:37 p.m. Johnny Cash's tour bus. Johnny was on the road, somewhere between Atlanta and Nashville. He couldn't sleep. This happened sometimes, nights when the guilt crawled back, when all the years he'd missed with his daughters pressed down on him like a weight. He thought about Rosanne, about their slowly rebuilding relationship, about how hard she'd worked to forgive him, about how he still didn't feel like he deserved that forgiveness. And then a thought entered his mind, dark and intrusive. What if I relapse again? What if I disappoint her again? What if I die before I can tell her everything I need to say? Johnny sat up in his bunk, turned on the small reading light, and pulled out a piece of paper. He started writing. For 2 hours, Johnny Cash poured everything onto that page. Everything he couldn't say out loud. Everything he was afraid to say. Everything he needed Rosanne to know, but was terrified she'd reject. He wrote about his own father, Ray Cash, a cold, distant man who'd told Johnny he was worthless. How that wound had shaped everything. How Johnny had repeated the same pattern with his own daughters without meaning to. He wrote about the pills, about how they weren't just an escape from physical pain, but from the overwhelming guilt of failing as a father. How every time he looked at Rosanne, he saw his own failure reflected back. He wrote about June saving him, but also about how, even sober, he still felt like an imposter, like he was pretending to be a good father, like Rosanne would eventually see through the performance and realize he was still the same broken man who'd abandoned her. He wrote about his deepest fear, that Rosanne had forgiven him not because he deserved it, but because she'd given up on ever having a real father, that her forgiveness was really resignation. And then Johnny wrote something he'd never told anyone. Rosanne, there are nights when I wake up and I can't breathe because I remember you at 5 years old asking your mother when Daddy was coming home, and I wasn't coming home. I was in some hotel room, high, not even thinking about you. I missed your childhood. I can't get it back. And sometimes I wonder if the kindest thing I could do is disappear from your life completely, let you build a life without me, without the disappointment of who I really am. The letter ended with instructions. Don't open this while I'm alive. I don't want to burden you with my guilt while I'm still here, still trying to be better. But if something happens to me, if I die before I can say these things out loud, I need you to know every failure I had as your father came from my own brokenness, never from anything lacking in you. You deserved better than me. You still do. I love you more than I know how to say. Dad. Johnny sealed the envelope, wrote the warning on the outside, and put it in his bag. The next day, when Rosanne visited him in Nashville, Johnny pulled her aside. I need you to keep something for me, he said, handing her the sealed envelope. Rosanne looked at it, confused. What is this? A letter. For you, but I need you to promise me something. What? Johnny's voice was shaking. Don't open it while I'm alive, and maybe not even after I'm gone. It's not something I'm strong enough to say out loud, but I needed to write it, and I need you to have it. Just promise me you won't read it until you're ready, if you ever are. Rosanne stared at the envelope, her father's handwriting, the desperate tone in his voice. Dad, you're scaring me. Are you okay? I'm fine, Johnny said quickly. This isn't a suicide note or anything like that. It's just insurance, in case I can't say these things the way I want. Promise me? Rosanne didn't understand, but she saw the pleading in her father's eyes. Okay, she said slowly. I promise. Carrying the weight. 1980 to 2003. 23 years. Rosanne kept the letter in her desk drawer. She moved it from apartment to apartment, house to house, California to New York, to Tennessee and back. Sometimes she'd take it out, hold it, wonder what was inside, but she never broke the seal. Her relationship with Johnny continued to deepen. They talked regularly. She performed with him. They even recorded a duet together. Johnny was present in a way he'd never been before, but the letter was always there, a sealed time bomb, a confession she couldn't hear. In 1988, Rosanne released her album King's Record Shop. It went platinum. Johnny was at the album release party, beaming with pride. "You did it, baby girl," he said, hugging her tight. "You made it on your own terms, not because of my name, because of your talent." Rosanne thought about the letter that night, about opening it, but something stopped her. Her father was alive. He was here. He was proud of her. Maybe whatever was in that letter didn't matter anymore. In 1997, Rosanne's marriage fell apart, her second divorce. She was devastated, questioned everything about herself. Johnny flew to New York immediately, sat with her, listened, didn't try to fix her, just was there. "You're stronger than you know," Johnny told her. "You survived me as a father. You can survive anything." Rosanne laughed through her tears. "That's a low bar, Dad." "I know, but you cleared it, and you became something extraordinary anyway." After Johnny left, Rosanne pulled out the letter again, held it, almost opened it. But again, something stopped her. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was the sense that reading it would change something between them. Maybe it was the awareness that some words once read can never be unread. She put the letter back in the drawer. After the funeral, September 2003, Johnny Cash was buried next to June Carter Cash. The funeral was massive. Celebrities, politicians, fans, everyone wanted to pay respects to the man in black. Rosanne delivered a eulogy. She talked about her father's music, his activism, his faith, his love for June. But she didn't mention the letter. After the funeral, Rosanne's sisters came to her. They were sorting through Johnny's belongings, dividing memories. "Did Dad leave you anything?" her sister Kathy asked. Rosanne thought about the letter. "Yeah," she said quietly, "he left me something." That night, alone in her hotel room, Rosanne pulled out the envelope for the 1,000th time. The paper was yellowing now, 23 years old. Her father's handwriting faded but still legible. "Do not open until I'm gone." He was gone now. The condition had been met. Rosanne sat on the edge of the bed, the envelope in her hands. She could open it right now, finally read whatever Johnny had been too afraid to say out loud. But she didn't. Not because of the promise, but because she realized something. She didn't want her last communication with her father to be words written in 1980, written during his guilt and fear, written before all the good years they'd had together. Rosanne put the letter back in her bag. Not yet, she thought. Maybe not ever. 20 years later. May 15th, 2023. 20 years after Johnny's death. Rosanne Cash was 68 years old. She'd lived an entire life since her father died. More albums, more tours, her children grown, grandchildren now. She was cleaning out her office, preparing to downsize, when she found the envelope at the bottom of an old filing cabinet. She'd forgotten about it, or maybe she'd trained herself not to think about it. But now, holding it again, she felt different, older, more settled in who she was, less afraid of her father's words, whatever they might be. Rosanne made a pot of coffee, sat down at her kitchen table, and looked at the envelope. 43 years since it was written, 20 years since Johnny died, a lifetime of wondering. She opened it. The words that changed everything. The letter was 7 pages, handwritten, Johnny's familiar script filling every line. Rosanne read it slowly, and with each paragraph, she felt something shifting inside her. Here was her father's deepest fear, that her forgiveness wasn't real, that she was just going through the motions, that he didn't deserve to be in her life. Here was his confession, that even sober, Even present, he still felt like a fraud as a father, that he woke up at night haunted by the memories of her childhood without him. Here was his pain, inherited from his own father, passed down like a poisoned heirloom, the belief that he was unworthy of love. And here, at the end, was the sentence that broke Rosanne completely. "I'm sorry I can't be the father you needed. I'm trying to be the father you deserve now." Rosanne sat at her kitchen table, tears streaming down her face, holding this letter from a man who'd been dead for 20 years. And she realized something profound. Her father had spent the last 20 years of his life trying to earn a forgiveness she'd already given him. He'd shown up, stayed sober, been present, not because he believed he deserved it, but because he was determined to become deserving. He'd lived in that gap between the broken man who wrote this letter and the father he was trying to become, and he'd never truly believed he'd crossed that gap. But he had. To Rosanne, he absolutely had. And now it was too late to tell him. Rosanne picked up her phone and called her sister Kathy. "I read Dad's letter," she said when Kathy answered. "The sealed one? The one from 1980? Yeah. What did it say?" Rosanne took a shaky breath. "It said he didn't think he deserved to be my father. It said he was trying but didn't think it was enough. It said," her voice broke, "it said he was sorry he couldn't be what I needed." Kathy was quiet for a moment. "But he was, wasn't he, in the end?" "Yeah," Rosanne said, crying now. "He was, but I don't think he ever knew that. I think he died still believing he'd failed me." "Did you ever tell him that he'd succeeded, that you really had forgiven him?" Rosanne thought about it. Had she? She'd said, "I love you." She'd spent time with him. She'd let him back into her life. But had she ever explicitly said, "Dad, you did it. You became the father I needed. You redeemed yourself. You succeeded"? She didn't think she had. "No," Rosanne admitted. "I don't think I did." The letter she writes back. That night, Rosanne Cash did something she'd never done before. She wrote a letter to her dead father. "Dear Dad, I just read your letter, the one from 1980, the one you told me not to open. I wish I'd opened it while you were alive, not because I needed to read it, but because you needed to hear my response. You asked if my forgiveness was real. Dad, it was real. It was hard. It took time, but it was real. You wondered if you'd ever become the father I deserved. Dad, you did. In those last 20 years, you became exactly the father I needed. Not perfect, but present. Not pretending, but trying. And your trying was enough. You apologized for not being able to give me back my childhood. Dad, you couldn't. Nobody could. But you gave me something better. You gave me a future where I had a father, where I could call you and you'd answer, where I could need you and you'd show up. You wrote this letter from a place of guilt and fear, from the part of you that was still broken. But Dad, you healed. Maybe not completely, maybe never completely, but enough. Enough that when you died, I mourned a father I loved and respected, not a ghost I'd given up on. I forgave you, really forgave you, and you earned that forgiveness through 2 decades of showing up, of staying sober, of being there. I wish you'd known that. I wish I'd said it explicitly, clearly, so you couldn't doubt it. I wish I'd told you, Dad, you did it. You fixed it. You became the father I needed. But I didn't say it, and now you're gone, and I can't tell you. So I'm writing it here, in a letter you'll never read, just like you wrote me a letter I didn't read for 43 years. We were both carrying things, we should have said out loud. I love you, Dad, and you were a good father. In the end, where it mattered, you were good. I hope somehow you know that now. Rosanne. In 2024, Rosanne Cash published a memoir that included both letters, her father's from 1980 and her response from 2023. The book became a bestseller, not because of Johnny Cash's fame, but because everyone understood the central tragedy. A father and daughter, both loving each other, both trying, both carrying letters with words they were too afraid to say out loud. In interviews, Rosanne was asked, "Do you regret waiting so long to open the letter?" Her answer was always the same. No. If I'd opened it in 1980, it would have devastated me. We were just starting to rebuild. That letter came from his brokenness, and I needed to first experience his healing. But I do regret never telling him explicitly that he'd succeeded, that he'd become the father I needed. I assumed he knew, but he didn't. And that's the real tragedy, not what was in his letter, but what wasn't in mine. Today, both letters are displayed at the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville. Visitors stand in front of them, reading a father's guilt and a daughter's grace, and they cry. Because the story of Johnny and Rosanne Cash isn't unique, it's universal. How many of us are carrying sealed letters, sealed conversations, sealed forgivenesses that we assume the other person knows about, but we've never actually said out loud? How many of us are dying, still believing we failed when the people we love have already forgiven us? How many of us are waiting for perfect words, perfect moments, perfect healing, when the imperfect words spoken now would be enough? Johnny Cash spent the last 20 years of his life trying to earn something he'd already been given. Rosanne Cash spent 43 years carrying a letter she was too afraid to read, and both of them loved each other more than they knew how to say. That's not a tragedy, that's just being human. If this story broke your heart, if you're carrying your own sealed letters, hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone you need to forgive or someone you need to tell they're forgiven. Comment below, what would your letter say? And don't forget that notification bell for more untold stories about the words we can't say and the love we can't express until it's too late.